Audio Acoustics Hearing Centers, highly credentialed hearing care you can trust, with Dr. Tony Mann. In this testimonial, we had a chance to visit with Dr. John Blair. How did you hear about audio acoustics?
I heard about audio acoustics through a free hearing seminar that was being given when Tony Mann and her audiologists were still at University Medical Center, and they were in charge of that center. And I went to this because my wife was constantly telling me that I was not listening to her because I didn't hear her. And I couldn't understand that because I work primarily with men, and I always understood what they had to say, but I didn't understand my wife, who had a very soft voice and, of course, at a higher frequency. And so I often did not know she was talking to me. Now, this did not endear me to my wife. And so she thought I had a hearing problem, so I said, well, okay, I'm going to go to this free seminar. And that's where I met Tony Mann, and a year later I did go and have my ears checked, and digital hearing aids were just starting. And yet at that point I was 50 years old, and they were very big and clunky because they had just come out. A year later, after a lot of encouragement from my wife, I went back again and said, okay, Tony, I'm serious. Check my ears again. Same thing. And I said, let's look seriously at this. And so that's what we did.
What is your endearment to audio acoustics?
Now, I think the thing that endeared me to audio acoustics, that has made me I could not even consider going anywhere else, is that when Tony and several of her audiologists decided to leave the hospital and go back into private practice, that we had the option to have our records sent to her. And I did. They gave me free batteries. They checked my hearing once a year to make sure it was okay. They fixed my hearing aids. They did everything.
Tell us about your new hearing aids.
Just a couple of years ago, I lost one of my original hearing aids. Of the two ones. And I came in and said, I need to get this replaced. And I unfortunately had forgotten to buy the insurance. So it was going to be expensive. And Tony said, look, there has been actually a major change. It's hard to believe that only in a couple of years they have really finally gotten this two microphone thing to work. And so I went ahead and got a new set of these two microphone ones. And they are quite remarkable because mine are programmed for 3 settings. There's a little button here, and that button, I don't know if you can see it, is not a volume control, because digital hearing aids, remember, you have a computer inside, a computer processor that actually takes and constantly monitors sound and amplifies it or reduces it, and amplifies some sounds and reduces other sounds. So this is not a volume control. It's a program control. So I have 3 programs. When I'm in a quiet place, I can basically leave both microphones on. Everything I can hear everything perfectly. So if I'm at home, I can listen to music on a stereo and hear sounds that I had not heard for years, because I can hear the upper range sounds. They come through beautifully. And when I'm in a car, or any kind of situation where it's not noisy, if the car is sitting still, that is. Now, the second program, if I press it one time, then it is in what's called the restaurant mode. So if I go to a restaurant, it will help. The front ones work so I can see and hear the person across from me, and some of the background noise in the restaurant is reduced. And because the back ones are now either turned off or used for noise suppression, where they're canceling out the noise. Well, then I have a third one, because a lot of my job, I go to receptions and meetings where there is a lot of noise, where you don't have a few people, you have lots of people. And when you're in that situation, I have a party button where people are really loud, and that further does noise suppression. But even in that, I can hear somebody that I'm talking to. I have found that this technology has finally really made a difference. It has made a difference for me all the time.
Tell us about the clarity that you receive with your new hearing aids.
This doesn't just make it louder, it makes only those sounds louder that you want. The other sounds stay the same, and they also clarify them. Some things like S's are hard to hear, but in S, they sharpen that up so that you can hear certain sounds that are harder to hear. So it has, over the years, made a very, very big difference for my ability to understand people in general, understand movies, go to concerts, and be able to hear clearly, because I've got options to, if there's speakers all around me, like you have in a movie theater, but the voices are coming primarily from the front, but the music and all the rumbling sounds are from the side and the back, then I can cut much of that out so I can still hear the voices. And so for me, the technology has really come a very long way.
Audio Acoustics Hearing Centers, connecting people to people with better hearing.